What's up YouTube, it's your boy Nash here. Welcome back to the channel. We have some more Yu-Gi-Oh news for you guys, including actually two pieces of news for you guys to check out. This is actually this part of the news was actually just released today actually. And the other piece of news is actually the OCG ban list. So I'm actually gonna start with that first, and then I'll go into the other piece of news. So, excuse me. So without any further ado, let's go straight into it. So once again, I am on YG Organization. Big shout outs to them. So with the OCG ban list, it is completely different from ours. It is 100% different from ours. There are some cards that are on the same list as our ban list in the TCG. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So there are only 3 cards that are banned in the OCG, meaning you cannot use them for shit. The first one is Jin, Releaser of Rituals. That's an interesting one. That is an interesting one because I believe that one worked. I believe that was if I remember correctly, I believe that got you a ritual spell or something like that from your graveyard, I believe. I don't remember. I never used any of the Jins, so I would not know. Of course, too. That was released in 2008, 2009, right around that era. So I kind of don't. So I really don't remember. Honestly, I believe it does. Of course, too. If you guys do know, you guys can comment below. Next up, we have Guard Dragon LP and Ib, the World Challenge Justiciar. Okay, so Ib, honestly, that was totally expected. In our ban list, we got that banned. Guard Dragon LP, we kind of knew that was getting banned because I believe that focuses on cards that are in the extra deck, which again, that was totally expected. I know that for us, I believe Agripane is actually banned. So totally expected for those two. Jin Releaser, I'm not so sure about that. So we have a good amount of cards that are now limited, meaning you can only use one. So we have here ABC Dragon Buster, Galatea the Orcus Automaton, I believe. Orcus Harp Horror. So for us, that's banned. Excuse me. Ooh, damn coffee. Junk Speeder. Obviously we know with Master Rule Revision coming up in just a couple weeks. We know that shooting Quasar Dragon is going to be absolutely fucking broken in Master Rule Revision. So Junk Speeder, that's kind of that. That really didn't. Honestly, that was kind of expected. But this one, I told you guys this card was going to be off a ban list. I did not think it would be off of the OCG ban list. Makiora the Destructor. You guys know how powerful this card is. When it's destroyed, you guys can actually release. You guys can actually play a trap card, any trap from your hand. I wouldn't be surprised if this got taken off the list for us in the TCG, and it gets an errata. And I believe there are 2 cards here. There are 2 cards on the limited list that are highlighted blue. I believe that is for. I believe those are the ones that are getting an errata. And actually, Makiora is one of them, but I'll get to the other one a little bit later on in this video. Spiral Quick Fix is the other one. Wind Up Carriers and Mighty. Wind Up Magician. Dragoon of Red Eyes. That's an interesting one. Dragoon of Red Eyes. I wouldn't be so. I don't think that card's being printed in Dual Overload. I don't think so. I'll have to check that out. Check that out later on. Next up, we have Tech Genius Hyper Librarian. I believe that is a draw card. That is a draw synchro, so that's not too bad. Cyber Sign. Cyber Sign is interesting because I believe for us it is semi-limited, if I'm not mistaken. Trishula is limited. Predator Plant Verde Anaconda. Not too surprised about that. Predator Plant Orphis Scorpio. Totally awesome. Link Cross. And yeah. So and then we have here the other card that is supposedly getting an errata. Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. So currently, right now, for us, Red Eyes is now at 1. If I remember correctly, it's at 1 for us. Not too surprised on that for the OCG. Instant Fusion. That's interesting because I believe for us it's at 3. Obviously, with the fact that Cyber Dragons are now coming back, have now been coming back at full force. With the exception of Mega Fleet Dragon being taken off, just leaving the format because obviously Master Rule revision. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me too much, honestly. Trickstar Light Stage again for us. I believe we got that limited to 1 like months and months ago. So yeah, Red Eyes Fusion is now limited, and also Gateway of the Six. Again, this is the OCG band, the OCG list. This isn't our list anyway. And then of course Gateway of the Six. Now for the cards that are semi-limited, meaning you can use 2. So we have Destiny Hero Malicious at 2, Draconet at 2, Jackalope and Nessie at 2, and Symbol of Heritage. Symbol of Heritage, I don't know that one, honestly. I don't think I ever saw that card before. And then the cards that are no longer on the list, meaning you can actually use 3. So we have Trickstar Candina, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. That is interesting because I believe it was at 2 before. Baby Cerosaurus, Necros of Unicorn, and Lady Debug. Actually, that's kind of cool. So that's actually the list. I think honestly, seeing Makiora in our getting taken off the ban list for our in our format here in the TCG, I would not mind seeing it getting an errata. Red Eyes Darkness Metal, I don't think it's ever gonna get another errata because it was already errata before, so it would not make too much sense for that to happen. Light Stage, Trickstars are pretty much done at this point. Yeah, they're pretty much done. With Brilliant Fusion, also Brilliant Fusion Union Hanger. Yeah, alright, so I did bring those up. Honestly, I'm not too surprised with this ban list. It is a really good ban list. It's a really good list, honestly. But yeah, honestly, I'm just not too surprised. And actually, there's a link here that will take me to Makiora's errata. Erratum? So I believe Makiora is getting an errata. So let's see what it's going to be. Okay, so Makiora is going to be getting it will indeed get an errata. So I'm not too surprised. I kind of figured it would. 1600 attack, 1200 defense. Its new effect says you can only use this card's name effect once per turn. If this card is sent from the monster zone to the grave, you can activate this effect. Once during this turn, you can activate a check from your hand. So originally it was never a once per turn. It was actually a continuous thing. Where if you were running like 3 of them back in the day, back in the day, I think was it Monarch format? Was it Monarch? I think Chaos format back in the day. Back in the day, I think during Chaos format there were 3. You were running 3 of them, and if you were able to recycle them, recycle them back onto the field, you can just keep activating, traps from your hand over and over and over again. And I think that's why that's why that card got banned, was because of that fact. Now that it's getting an errata, you won't be able to do that over and over again, if you were running 3. So honestly, that's great. That's awesome. I believe Duelist Pack DP24. I believe that is another Duelist Pack. So it could. So I believe this will be reprinted in the Duelist of Gloom set for Merrick. So that's really good. That's really good. That's really good. I wouldn't be surprised if we got that. If that came out for us in the TCG, that would be incredible. In fact, I don't think I ever owned it before, so I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. All right, you guys. Now let's take a look at what's gonna be happening with Master Rule Revision 2020. There's actually a lot to talk about with this one. I know that Mega Capital G kind of got a little in depth into it, but I'm gonna try and explain it as best as I can. Master Rule, April 1st, 2020 revisions. You didn't actually think that we get a new Master Rule with just extra deck changes, right? Ha! That's a funny one. The following will take effect in the OCG starting on April 1st. So I believe this is only going to be in the OCG, not for us. So there are five different rulings, and if you guys, and I'm not sure if it, because you guys know me, I'm autistic. My autism kind of kicked in when I first had a look at this. So if you guys do understand these rules, make sure you guys comment below and just trying to explain it just without making it difficult for me. If you guys do understand it, but I think I might understand myself. So here's the first rule. The first rule says here, regarding the activation of monster effects for monsters returned to the deck or the extra deck face down. So meaning so basically it says here, so it says unless it is specifically referenced in the text, monsters that are returned to the deck and the extra deck face down cannot activate their effects. This includes mandatory effects. Here's a example of old way of resolving. So it says here, if Elemental Hero Absolute Zero is returned to the extra deck by compulsory evacuation device, its effect to destroy all monsters your opponent controls will activate. The new way of resolving. Example of new way of resolving. If Absolute Zero is returned to the extra deck by compulsory, its effect will not activate. So my guess, with Absolute Zero, when it's removed from the field, its effect is that it destroys all of your opponent's monsters, basically. But now I believe what they're trying to do is they're ensuring. I guess it's like kind of like an insurance policy. So if you're running compulsory and you activate that card on Absolute Zero, it won't activate. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to make sure that its effect activates when it's destroyed. When Absolute Zero is destroyed. I think that's what they're trying to go after with that one. Honestly, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool that that's happening. That these rules are being changed with Master Rule Revision, because without these new rulings, I'm not so sure, guys. I am not so sure. All right, so here's the second rule. Regarding the activation of card effects that move away from their activation location before their effects activate. In card text, that's the dog. Don't worry about that. In card text, cards refer to their effect's activation requirement as well as their effect activation location. For example, if it is an effect that activates when the monster itself is normal summon, it activates on the field. If it's a trap card whose effect is activated if it is sent to the grave, it activates in the graveyard. If a card moves location from its activation location to a different location before its effect activated, its effect cannot be activated, including mandatory. So for example, the old way of resolving a card like say Sangan. So it says here, example of old way of resolving. Sangan is attributed to activate Crush Card Virus, and DD Crow is activated in a chain to banish the Sangan from the graveyard. Sangan activates effect after this chain is done resolving. In this case, Sangan is treated as activating its effect in the graveyard. The thing is, okay. The new way of resolving Sangan is attributed to activate Crush Card Virus and DD Crow. It's activated in a chain to banish the Sangan from the grave. Sangan does not activate its effect after the chain is done resolving. I believe you will want to make I think I get it. So if you're using that, if you're trying out that chain, you want to make. I think it's DD Crow Chainlink 1, Crush Card Chainlink 2, and Sangan Chainlink 3. If you were to do that, then Sangan's effect will still activate. So I think that's what they were trying to get at with that. The next one is regarding the normal or special summoning of a monster in relation to card effects that mention quote, during the turn you activate this card or effect. Some cards will have text such as, during the turn you activate this effect, you cannot special summon monsters except blank monsters. Or, during the turn you activate this card, you cannot special summon monsters with this card's effect. Which have activation requirements for whether or not you summon certain monsters during the turn. Cards in this text will now check whether or not the summoning of the monster described in the text was successful for their activation requirements. Example of old way of resolving. You cannot activate Rage with Eyes of Blue during the turn you normal summon. During the normal summon of your Maiden with Eyes of Blue was negated by Solemn Judgment. The new way, example of new way of resolving, you can activate Rage with Eyes of Blue during the turn the normal summon of your Maiden with Eyes of Blue was negated by Solemn Judgment. Okay, so obviously there are a lot of players out there who do run Blue Eyes. So if you guys are familiar with that ruling, make sure you guys comment below because I'm curious about that. I'm a little curious. So there are two more rulings here. So the fourth ruling is regarding the special summon of monsters that mention they quote can only be special summoned once per turn. Certain cards have the text you can only special summon blank once per turn, which means that you can only special summon a card or cards with that name one time during the entire turn. Cards with this text will now only count the summoning of the summoning if a monster with that name was successful during the turn. Old way of resolving. As an example, if your High Speed Roy Chambara synchro summon was negated by Solemn Judgment, during the turn you cannot try to synchro summon another one or try to use any other type of card effects to special summon it for the rest of the turn. Now, the new way, if your High Speed Roy Chambara synchro summon was negated by Solemn Judgment, during this turn you are allowed to or try to use any other type of card. So basically, okay, so if you do summon High Speed Roy Chambara, or even also like say just to throw it out there, Abyss Dweller. Let's say that. your opponent activates Solemn Judgment, and that summon is negated. You will now be able to, or rather, or you know what? I'll use High Speed Roy Chambara, because I believe High Speed Chambara says you can only summon one per turn, I believe. So so if you're running 3, you're golden. You're pretty much golden there. And then the last one. This is an interesting one. This is an interesting one. Regarding continuous trap cards that special summons themselves from the monster zone by their own effects. Continuous trap cards such as Embodiment of Apophis, which has the effect special summon this card as a normal monster, reptile earth attribute, 4-star, 1600 attack, 1800 defense. Which again, this card is in parentheses, this card is also still a trap card that can special summon themselves from the monster zone, will now free up the spell and trap zone they were placed before. So this is where things get interesting, because normally, because originally, when you have a card like say Embodiment of Apophis, or what was it, Statue of the Wicked, I think it is. Any continuous trap card that counts as a monster. Normally in that column would not be available for use when you're setting your back row. Now it gets freed up entirely. So that's actually kind of cool. So here's the example of here's the original resolving. If you have 5 cards set in your spell trap zone, you activate one of them, which is Embodiment of Apophis, and special summons it to the monster zone. The spell, the back row that had that card cannot be used. You cannot set a new card in that zone. Now you are actually allowed to. So this actually makes dueling. This actually makes the game a lot more simple. I would say that this would make it a little more simpler. But for some of these, if you guys do know exactly what they mean, you guys can definitely comment below. Otherwise, I believe make a capital G. Shoutouts to him, but I think he actually got a little more in depth with this piece of news. But guys, that's actually gonna do it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think about the new OCG ban list, and what you guys think could very well get banned and taken off the list for our ban list in the TCG, and your thoughts on this new ruling. Comment below, and that's actually gonna do it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, smash that thumbs up button. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell so y'all don't miss out on any new content that comes your way. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. My links will be down in the description below. And if you guys have any fan mail that you would like to send me, my address will be at the top of the description below. And yeah. So on that, this is your boy Nash signing out.